Welcome everybody to another Neville and Chill. Just getting my settings going on here. It's another Tuesday night. We're going to take some time here to relax, get into that Neville and Chill vibe, and have a lovely conversation. I set the stream settings a little bit different than how I normally do, so that we are in very close to real time, so that I can see your chat messages and there'll be very little lag, if any lag at all. So that's pretty cool. I'll be able to see your comments as it's coming in. Welcome everybody. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. Neville and Chill Tuesday nights. Okay, so I've really been pleased with some of the conversations we've been able to have in this space. I'm feeling really good about it. I've really enjoyed the guests that we've had so far. Shout out to Frank and to Shweta. I was actually just chatting with Shweta before getting on live tonight, and she has agreed to come on again. We're gonna have another Neville and Chill with Shweta, and we're going to talk more. We're gonna go further into some of the things that we talked about last time, and then also she's got a new topic that she thinks we should like really get into in a Neville and Chill type venue, and I'm looking forward to that. So I think that's gonna be next week. We'll be with Shweta, and then Frank. I was really pleased to hear that Frank received his Shakti mat and had an amazing first meditation experience using the Shakti mat. So that's really cool. I'm excited to have him back on at some point as well to share his experience and also just to continue the conversation, catch up with him a little bit. Hello, everybody in the chat. How's everybody doing? Got my beverage. Oh, yes, we'll get to that in just a moment. Yes. Cool. So I'm looking at now here, Mike. What's up, Mike? I see we also have Moon Bunny and Dolores and Elena and Leah, Oksana and Crystal. Awesome. Okay, so Mike says, I practice the breathing technique just using Isn't It Wonderful? Since I have not constructed a scene yet. So I don't know exactly what will come of that, but it was an amazing experience. Okay. So that's a callback to Sunday Mystery School. So in Sunday Mystery School on Sunday, in the chat, I want to know, did you see Sunday Mystery School? Did you watch it live or the recording? I want to know which. I want to know whether you saw it live or the recording, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But in Sunday Mystery School, we got very, very focused on the Sunday Mystery School tradition for manifesting, like our actual technique. There's a lot of techniques for manifesting things. If you go on, Reels or Shorts or TikTok or like, all the places where people talk about law of attraction, law of assumption, all that type of stuff, everybody's got a technique. And in Sunday Mystery School, we are really focused on the technique that Neville taught, like the number one primary technique. And that is manifesting using a scene. And that scene is constructed with sensory elements, meaning that, there's something that needs to happen. You need to have some sort of sensation. And Neville teaches us to do it from a relaxed brainwave state. And we talked a lot on Sunday about how all of that works. And on Sunday, I was talking about how I use brainwave entrainment tracks for my journey. So I do it for manifesting scenes, but I'm also a traveler in a dimensional sense. So I go places and have experiences using some of these advanced meditative practices that I've been training with for years now. And so because of that, I've been, checking out Spotify, kind of checking out all these different artists and publishers that make brainwave tracks. And I found two that I've started to use and I just really enjoy them. And so I was talking about using brainwave entrainment tracks. Someone was like, hey, I want to know what the tracks are that you use for this. So I posted those. I posted those on the community tab. They're also in the description of Sunday Mystery School, the video description. And they're two Spotify tracks. One is 30 minutes long, one is 1 hour long. And in my experience, they're both fantastic. And what I mean by fantastic is you're looking for a track which creates a sense of dimensional shift. You're looking for a track that when you plug it in with headphones, you feel transported to a dimensionally greater space. And you want the soundscape to hold your awareness in this dimensionally larger space. That's the idea here. You want it to hold your awareness in an expanded place. So there's a specific sound. It's kind of like a drone, like a droning sound that I look for in these tracks. They can't have beats, obviously. Like beats do not do this. There needs to be drone. There needs to be actual binaural entrainment, meaning there needs to be frequencies that differ between the right ear and the left ear to activate the frequency following response of your brain. Getting into the science a little bit here. It's Neville and Chill. We're going to keep it light, right? But getting into the science a little bit, the whole idea is that your brain tends to respond to stimulus by mimicking the stimulus. So if you have binaural beats that are broadcasting a frequency, that are transmitting frequency that is associated with a certain brainwave state, and you are feeding that as stimulus into your brain, then your brain, through its natural processes, will attempt to mimic the frequency following response. And that's how you can create these specific brainwave states that are very amenable to accessing the subconscious mind. So you want this drone sound, you want it to feel expansive. And then in my opinion, there needs to be a little bit of a soundscape, but not too much. It should not distract. It should hold your focus present without actually distracting you from your objective. So for me, I want there to be other sounds than the drone. There needs to be something that is happening from time to time, intermittent sounds here and there, and these tracks do have that. But I don't want it to be jarring in any way, or like it has to be like, it has to feel very congruent, coherent, harmonious. This soundscape that's being created, and so I feel transported, and then it's holding me there, and then something is happening. It's kind of helping keep my attention in that space. Okay, and then obviously there's the binaural beat aspect of this too, which is helping to entrain your brain. So these tracks, I feel, do that pretty well. The Reverie one has kind of a strange sound to it that feels otherworldly. And if you've listened to the Reverie one, I think you'll know exactly what I mean when I say that. It has this otherworldly, almost extraterrestrial type tone to it. And so that can be off-putting to some people who are very sensitive. So I was aware of that. That's why when I posted, I was like, look, this is to set you in the right direction. I'm not saying that the magic is these tracks specifically. I'm saying that these are ones that I've found that tend to work pretty well. And if you click into the artist and you go down the rabbit trail and you look at similar artists, you look at other things that the artist or publisher has put out there, and you understand that you're looking for the alpha theta brainwave state, like something in that, or access to the subconscious mind, or active imagination, or vivid visualization. These are all words, right? We're learning the language, and then you can kind of experiment. But here's the thing. When experimenting, I suggest don't do it in headphones. Don't experiment in headphones. You want to experiment with speakers and find something that sounds interesting. And then you can try it with headphones. But I learned the hard way when I tried it with headphones. I was just flipping from track to track to track. It was very intense for my brain to be catapulted with each track that I switched, because I'd listen to a track for like 30, 45 seconds, something like that, just to like get a feel for it, and then switch to the next one, and I'm like being catapulted. So I was like, wow, this is actually a lot of stress on my system. I'm also very sensitive, and I've just come to be aware of that. I'm pretty sensitive to these things. So, but I was noticing it's a lot of stress in terms of stimulus. So what I suggest, just as a best practice, if you're not happy with the ones that I posted, or you're looking for other ones, start with a speaker and like just on your phone or whatever, and just like click through and a couple options until you find one that sounds interesting to you, and then put in your headphones and go into it, right? So you're kind of keeping a little bit of a distance there. All right, so we're getting some people in the chat here. Um, watch the recording of Sunday Mystery School. Yes. Awesome. Mystic Vision. What's up? Hey, I interacted with some of your comments today, and I'm so glad you're on this stream so I can thank you directly. You had some great things to say on that post that I made in the community tab, so thank you for that. Um, that's really what I'm like setting. I'm trying to set a tone. Like my intention is to set a tone for these explorations that is one of humility and wisdom. It's like being the wise ruler, wise and humble, meaning this is not egoic. This is accepting our responsibility. It goes right in line with the blessing that we speak over our Sunday Mystery School gatherings. It's this idea of from that place of being whole and healed, accepting our responsibility as wise creators, and then learning how to do it from that place. And I found that your comments match that vibe very beautifully. So thank you very much for contributing in that way. That was wonderful. Um, watch recording. I listened live while on my rucking walk. Uh, okay, I'm impressed. Rucking, that's not a typo, right? Like rucking, like rucksack. You're like walking with weight on your back and listening. Okay, that's another level. You get a gold star. That's amazing. 45-pound backpack. Helena, you just got like your avatar just upgraded to superhero in my mind. From now on, when I see you commenting on my channel, I'm gonna think, oh yeah, that's Helena, the buff rucksack hiking Neville Sunday Mystery School. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That's the next level. So cool. Orlana, I like the list method. Okay. Orlana says, I've been practicing the technique every day. I'm getting used to it. Fantastic. You are getting a gold star for the homework, following the homework. Now here, Mike says, I used the 30-minute track you suggested. I haven't tried the other one yet. Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm interested to hear your experience when you do. Fran Angelico. Hey, Frank, you're with us. I don't know if you caught the beginning, but I was talking about you and how you got your Shakti mat now, and we can't wait to have you back on to talk about your experience. So that's awesome. Um, advanced, yes. Advanced meditations, yes. Moon Bunny says, depends on my mood. There are times I just like the single drone sound. Fantastic, yes. Very cool. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and open up our beverage. All right, what are we drinking tonight? Okay, so we're like cycling through some of these amazing beverages that I have found over the past few years. And tonight we have a beverage called Recess. This is Recess, and the name of it is Mood. And Recess, this is a strawberry rose. A little bit of a theme here. It seems I like rose in my drinks. I think almost all of the drinks that I've shown y'all on Neville and Chill have rose in it, so that's amazing. This is a magnesium and adaptogen infused sparkling water. And it says calm, cool, and collected, which sounds like exactly the vibe that we're bringing to Neville and Chill tonight. Okay, so this is where we get our branding masterclass, because this is what this says. Listen to this, okay? This is our marketing branding masterclass. Recess. We canned a feeling, a sparkling water to brighten your day with magnesium, adaptogens, and real fruit for the you are on your best days. Magnesium L-threonate, a form of magnesium for the brain. How auspicious, since we're talking about stimulating our brains. Adaptogens, L-theanine and lemon balm to help maintain balance. Take a recess. Create a moment in time Do with it what you wish. Calm, cool, and collected. Well, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Filtered water, strawberry rose tea, pear juice, magnesium blend, including L-threonate, magnesium ascorbate, and vitamin B6, strawberry juice, lemon juice, vanilla extract, lemon balm powder, L-theanine powder, and monk fruit extract. An antidote to modern times. There you go. That's your masterclass on branding. The canned feeling. I mean, what more could you want than a canned feeling, right? Okay, so we're gonna try this out here. Calm, cool, collected. All right. To Neville and Chill, and to all of you, it's a vibe. Cheers. Mm. Oh, I forgot how delicious this one is. Okay, so the non-alcoholic aperitif de soie that we enjoyed with Shweta last week is an intense bouquet of flavors, like just mind-blowing bouquet of flavors. This one, by contrast, is very, very relaxed and yet still delicious. It's very calm, cool, and collected. I definitely taste the strawberry, and it's sparkling water, so it's carbonated, of course, and it just feels very light, cool, and refreshing. So I am very pleased. Cheers, Recess. You're doing a great job. Okay. All right. Recruiting Maven, I am subscribed to your channel. It's a true story. I am subscribed to your channel, even though I'm not looking for a job or anything like that. I just think that you have great vibes and you're doing a great work. So thank you for your channel. Um, when you, from time to time, I see you posting videos, and that's really cool. Your question tonight is, did Neville ever study with the Rosicrucians? Yes, Neville did study with the Rosicrucians. A lot of people do not know this. A lot of people do not have not perceived that. A lot of people have not perceived that Neville was trained in a mystery school. A lot of people think that Neville's story starts and ends with Abdullah, and that is simply not true. Abdullah, of course, did contribute to Neville's education, and he features prominently in Neville's stories, whereas Neville almost never speaks of the Rosicrucians or of the mystery school that he was exposed to. But it's a true story. Neville traveled to England at some point, I think I think it was in the 20s, and he studied with Rosicrucians. He was trained, I don't know to what degree or for how long. That data is, I have not seen that data. I just know that yes, and specifically that branch, right? Because Rosicrucians is a specific order of mystery school, and that is the one that I have information that says he was a part of in some way. He trained and learned with them, studied their texts and whatnot while he was in England. And so the way the story goes is while he was in England, he came across this stuff. He started to study with members of the order and was exposed to some of these advanced texts. And that began his mystery school education. And then he returned to the United States. And if I'm getting the timeline correct, then he began studying with Abdullah. So he was already somewhat educated in the mysteries before he became mentored directly by Abdullah. So fascinating call out there, and really cool that you found that information. That's very cool. Um, Tony Chiodo, I've purchased Shweta's course. Simply amazing work. She will be so pleased to hear that. Thank you, Tony, for the feedback. I'm practicing breathing my wish fulfilled and wonder, do we breathe through the heart or via our third eye? What an amazing question, Tony. I love that. First of all, thank you for the feedback. Like I said, Shweta will be thrilled to hear that. I'll make sure that she sees that if she is not on the stream with us tonight. The course that you're speaking of, just to make sure everybody understands, that's the Science and Neville course that I hosted and Shweta presented. She was the presenter. I just brought the people together to sit the course. It was hosted over 6 weeks in the summer of 2021. And she talked about it extensively last week about how she came across all this information that links scientific principles and understandings and studies and whatnot with Neville's teachings. And then she built a course based on that, a series of presentations based on that. So that's really cool. Practicing breathing my wish fulfilled and wonder, do we breathe through the heart or through our third eye? Okay, so I am a heart person because I understand like my perspective is that the heart enables us to entrain the systems of our body. So when I think of the heart, I think of it as really that like the engine that powers our energetic system. So the heart generates this massive electromagnetic field. Well, for people that do energy work using their heart, it's massive. For people that have a lot of trauma or grief or are not working with their energy, it's significantly smaller. But still, if you're looking at it using a higher dimensional piece of technology, and you're looking at the EMF radiating off the human body, the heart is the primary generator of that EMF field. So for me, in like the way that I've been trained, I go to the heart as my first stop always. So feeling of the wish fulfilled for me is a state of heart coherence. So what I mean by that is I start in the heart, and then it's a feeling of gratitude and appreciation, which is the standard heart math approach. I've been trained in the heart math approach for heart coherence. So that's, Greg Braden teaches it. The Heart Coherence Collaborative, Kyle and Leah, friends of mine, they're on YouTube, teaches it. I think the first time I learned it was from Greg Braden, but it's just this idea of focusing on the heart and focusing on that feeling of gratitude, appreciation, and then understanding that as you breathe and expand your awareness upon gratitude and appreciation, it is creating entrainment between the neuronal structures of your brain, your heart, and your gut. Those three concentrations of neuronal structures come into balance, into coherence. So it's a fantastic question. For me, it's the heart. I'm not saying you have to do it that way, but I feel that that's the greatest alignment. So that's how I would do it. This technique, and fantastic question. And I appreciate the opportunity to clarify that. Really cool. Perfect timing for recruiting Maven. I'm on a final draft of my resume and just subbed. Awesome. Yeah, go give her a follow. Amazing. Yeah, encourage her work. She's doing good work. Excellent. Recruiting Maven felt that way. Rose equals Rosa Christians. Hey, you connected the dots. I love it. That's wonderful. Yeah. Cool. Shweta is in the chat and she says, thank you, Tony, and thank you for the feedback. Awesome. We've got our crew gathered here. That's great. Okay, Divine Libras says Neville's sermon, Wake Up, O Sleeper, is amazing. He truly understood and had a great way of explaining perception of understanding and awareness. I agree with you. That's one of my favorite lectures from Neville. And I have recorded it and I have narrated it. If I'm thinking of the same one, I think I am. But I titled it Wake Up, There Is No Death. I believe that's the title it's under. I titled it on my YouTube channel because I felt that was like the key idea. So I titled it that way. Shweta says, I believe you can breathe through both and experience life through your inner wisdom. I really love that wish fulfilled breathing as you described. Sounds incredibly effective. Yes. Yeah, and yeah, and to that point, yeah, you don't have to just choose one or the other. I just say start with the heart. Start with the heart. Awesome. Um, Mr. Mike says, I do my best to tune into the heart for meditation. Yeah, makes sense. Heart, point of concentration of infinite dimensions that feels like me. Actually, no, that word is hearth. Heart with an H, hearth. Point of concentration of infinite dimensions that feels like me. Mystic Vision, you're a traveler. Clearly. That's amazing. I love that. It's a great reference to relate with it. Awesome. Okay. Okay, cool. Guys, I have a funny story to tell you all. Um, okay, so this is like just one of those strange. Okay, so I've been experiencing a lot of glitches in like the Matrix, right? So like in this reality field that I'm appear to be existing in, I've been experiencing a lot of like glitches recently where like just things are happening very differently than in some cases how my logical brain is expecting them to. So it's like these little things. And one of the glitches that happened actually was a very public glitch, and it happened on Sunday Mystery School during the broadcast on Sunday. And it was such a perfect glitch that the glitch happened, and I was only about 10% aware of it until much later when I was editing the video and I found the glitch and I was like, wait a second. This is kind of bizarre. So let me just tell you what happened. So Sunday Mystery School, we are going over Neville's original masterclass. And that original masterclass was given in the back room of a theater in San Francisco in 1948 over a series of several days. I believe it was 5 days. So Neville was like gathering these people together and giving them this, like he was like tutoring them, right? And this is they paid a fee. This was like they were paying him to come in and teach them like this very specific thing. He tells the story somewhere of how he rented the building and all this type of stuff for this class. So he was speaking stream of consciousness teaching, and someone recorded what he said and then transcribed it. And I believe it started off being handwritten, and then someone then came through and typed it. And then that typed version eventually made it onto the internet somewhere in the somewhere between 2000 and 2012, I would say. That typed version made into the internet and became a PDF, became part of a formal archive. And in 2020, I retaught his masterclass as a class at the School of Imagination, similar to what we're doing in Sunday Mystery School, but this time around there's massive upgrades because now I have experienced a lot of what Neville has spoken of for myself. So I'm kind of bringing a new level to it. But I did teach it in the past as a course at the School of Imagination. And so the text that we are using for our text for Sunday Mystery School was originally created for that class 5 years ago, 4 years ago, we'll say. And it's in a Google Doc, and I put up the links and everything for people who want to follow along with the text, so that if I'm reading, you're kind of able to read along. Okay, so the glitch that happened was that a large portion of the text disappeared. It vanished from lesson 1, part 2, which is this doc that was created. And I have not touched the doc since 2020. I just am using the link, and it's like the same link from back then when I taught the last course live. But there's a large portion of text that vanished, and I wasn't aware that it vanished. And in the presentation live on Sunday, I was reading the text, saying what he was saying, and then I just moved on to the next paragraph. And the 10% part of my brain was like, there's a little bit of a non sequitur there. Like he started talking about Adam fell asleep and then God removed a rib. And then all of a sudden he's talking about wrestling with an angel. And so the 10% part of my mind was like, well, that's a little weird. That's kind of a non sequitur. Like that's like almost as though something's missing, but I'm live. I've got hundreds of people watching, and I'm not going to be like, whoa, wait. Like I said, it was only 10% of me was like, that's a little weird, but I just kept right on rolling. And so just right on rolling, uh, we just skipped all like this huge amount of text. I don't actually know exactly how much text, but I know it's a significant amount because it just glitched. We just skipped it and rolled right into wrestling with the angel. And then out of that came this very, very clear instruction about how to manifest using these states of vision, these visionary states. And when I sit down to host Sunday Mystery School, I'm bringing with me a very, very clear intention and a text. And other than that, I'm just being a clear conduit for what needs to be said in the space. It's not rehearsed. There's no script. It's just, I know what we're doing, and I have this intention of being a humble and wise leader of the discussion and a clear transmitter of this sacred truth. So I didn't plan for homework to come out of Sunday Mystery School. I didn't even plan to go into that level of detail about exactly how to manifest using scenes. That just appeared. And the reason why it appeared was because of this glitch, which I realized later when I was editing the video and I was listening to myself and I was like, there's that non sequitur again. And so then I went and I looked at the text and I realized that a portion of it had vanished. So I think a very happy glitch because I'm very pleased with where our conversation went on Sunday. And also, next Sunday, we're going to go back. We're going to go back to the glitch text because clearly there's something there to explore as well. And we're going to learn about the whole rib story as a metaphor that Neville speaks of. So I thought that was like a happy thing. So for me, it's like, okay, Shweta actually was talking about this last week. So I remember watching Shweta go through these things like with her job and whatnot. And I think I told this story, right? So it was like, like learning this new job and then like kind of screwing up a little bit and feeling bad about it. And then she like redid her self-concept and she was like, even when I screw up, my boss loves it and my coworkers love me. And like, I'm just in this flow state and like, I can't get it wrong. That's basically the state. And so, I'm in a similar state, right? So it's like, even when there's glitches and things like go wrong or are unexpectedly like not the normal way that it would happen, I just accept that, per my self-concept, that it's going to be perfect. So I think it was actually, I'm using the term glitch, but like it's not a glitch. It was actually a divine design because we needed to talk about what we were going to talk about. And the only way how it was going to come through is if that part of the text, which would have distracted from the mission on that day, glitched and disappeared. So we are going to go back and go through it, but like it was perfect the way that it came out. And the reason I tell this story now with y'all is one, because I'm not going to go through it on Sunday because that's not the place for it. On Sunday. We're down to business, and my goal of Sunday Mystery School is to waste 0 words. I don't want to say any words in Sunday Mystery School that are not pregnant with meaning and purpose. That's my intention. A lot of like we're focused. But Neville and Chill, I can tell you all, hey, there's this weird glitch and whatever. And I tell it as an example of trusting the process, right? So it's like, I'm not attached to the outcome of everything has to go exactly perfect, and there should be no mistakes, and like everything should line up exactly the way in my rational brain. I'm not attached to that, but I am expressing the state of I am in perfect rhythmic flow with the universe. And I accept that if glitches do happen, it's part of the divine plan. Like I don't see them as apart from me. I see them as that greater, dimensionally greater part of myself that is co-creating with me. So I know it's like a little weird to say because like really there is nothing outside of me. That's the state that I'm speaking from. There's actually nothing outside of me. It's actually all me. So there can't be a glitch if you look at it that way. So that's like, evidence of the state. And I think that's I think it's important to I think it's important to hear stories like that and then to make that decision to be the same way. To make that decision to be congruent and harmonious with ourselves in our state, the same way where things can go unexpected, like in our reality, and we are so water-like in our flow that actually even better outcomes come out of it than uh, perhaps what would have happened if it happened the original way that we thought it would have. Uh, so that's really cool. Okay, I'm gonna look at your chat again. Not a glitch. You're in the state of Neville. Yeah. Yeah. Your homework is the most beautiful write-up of the process. It sounds so potent, and it's actually a pretty fresh way to enliven our scenes in imagination. Yes, Shweta, absolutely. That is very interesting because the whole homework assignment was an answer to a question I imagined asking you, but didn't in real life. Yes. So I've noticed that my ability to have conversations with you all without saying a word has improved tremendously. So that's pretty cool. Divine design. Yes. Starting my download from this morning that I wrote in my journal. All right, superhero Helena. In foresight, the timing and pacing will work out wonderfully. Yes. Be like water, Bruce Lee. Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Okay. Um, all right. So I'm gonna kind of take this in a deeper direction. We're gonna start moving towards the beyond here. So if you're here for it, make sure you got your beverage and make sure you're feeling nice and chill. And let's start to travel a little bit together in our awareness. All right. So I'm so going to enjoy this. This is awesome. Okay, so uh, my name is Josiah, and I was given this name by my father. He specifically chose my name, Josiah, and he told me when I asked him that it felt inspired, and he didn't have a specific reason why. He just was, expecting a son and was thinking about this son, and generally my parents they had a couple of kids, and so their process was they would each think about names that they liked, and then they'd talk them out together and then choose one. But this one, my father made the decision and told my mom this is what we're going to name him, and she offered no she did not protest. She was like, that sounds great, cool, glad you like made the decision, that's cool. So my father gave me the name, and he said that it came to him, was inspired, and then he went and, knowing it was a biblical name, he went into Second Chronicles and read about the story of Josiah, and kind of refreshed his memory, and then was like, yeah, I think This is a pretty cool name. We're gonna name our son Josiah. Okay, so I come out. I'm given the name Josiah, and I start living this life of Josiah. In 2000 and well, about 21, a couple years ago, I went back and reread the story of King Josiah, just because I was curious to understand, based on Neville's frame, about the Bible stories being stories about states and not necessarily historical figures. Like it's states acting out states and roles and interactions. So I was like, okay, well, what is the state of being that was given this name Josiah? And so I went back and I started reading the story of Josiah, and it's not a long story. It's actually, as far as Bible stories go, it's pretty short. But I noticed at that time, to my delight and also astonishment, that the name of Josiah's father in the Bible story was Ammon. And this surprised and delighted me because my father's middle name is Ammon. I called my dad and I said, hey, I was just reading this story about King Josiah in Second Chronicles, and I just noticed that King Josiah's father's name was Ammon. And he was like, huh, I never thought of that. He was unaware that that was like this very beautiful synchronicity, I suppose. It had no impact in his conscious decision making to name it Josiah, just like was, right? It's just the way that it landed out. And I was like, okay, really cool. What is the state of Josiah? So I started reading the story of Josiah. And one of the reasons why I'm telling this story is because I reread the story again yesterday after having a profound meditation in which I feel that I met the archetype that is portrayed in the state of King Josiah. So I'm like freshly present to the state that is Josiah. I went back and I reread the story, and Josiah is the king who orders the renovation of the temple. And when the priests go in to start cleaning out the temple, which is crumbled, it's in a state of incredible disarray and disrepair, and it needs to be completely overhauled and made brand new. Everything is in decay. And the priests go in and they're digging around and they find the book of the law. And this had been lost. And so they bring the book of the law to Josiah and they say, look at what we found. And so Josiah starts reading the book. Well, let's be honest, he's a king, right? He doesn't read anything. His servants start reading to him the book of the law. And he's like, oh, snap. We have really been doing this all wrong. Like, we were given this recipe for how to build this amazing nation. And we have completely gone off the rails. We really went the wrong direction with this, and we got it all twisted. We completely, okay, so let's start to decode, okay? So the book of the law is the truth about the nature of reality, this reality field that we're living in, and the fact that we are consciousness itself in the form of being human, and we're having an experience of ourselves through human eyes. Okay, we're individual conscious units. We're interacting with ourselves through individuated point of awareness. The book of the law communicates this truth. Okay, so when you find the book of the law, you come back to this sense of first principles, which is let's understand what the nature of reality is, and then let's build all of our systems of how we interact with our reality field based on what we feel is a true understanding of what reality even is. Okay. And when you don't do this, When you don't take the time to understand what consciousness is, understand to the best of your ability what this reality field is and what the nature of reality is, then you end up building, I mean, really a civilization that is based on false gods and false prophets and things that are just simply not true. And one of the primary symptoms of building a civilization based on false gods and false teachings and false prophets and everything else is that the people in that civilization very, very unaware of their power, unable to hold their power, and they give their power away to organizations, to governments, to experts, to people with credentials, to Tom, Dick, and Harry, like anybody who claims to have some sort of power and authority. People who don't know that they are the power and the authority will just give their power away, and that creates a civilization that inevitably ends up in a state of disrepair and decay because all true power begins from within. And this is why we emphasize in Sunday Mystery School this idea of being a self-governed nation, okay? Being the wise, humble ruler of your own nation, which is your mind-body complex. It is your being here in the reality field and being a self-governed. That is a state. And when every individual consciousness unit on the planet is in that state, that's the golden age. That's peace on earth, goodwill towards men. That's heaven on earth reality. That's when the most beautiful things imaginable emerge between humans, because everyone is in a state of owning their own power with wisdom and humility, and then building together in co-creation. And the power dynamics are straight; they're not twisted like they are in the other example of a civilization where everybody's giving their power away to Uncle Sam or big dad, big mom, whatever organizations, archetypes, right? So just going back to the story, right? So King Josiah, he becomes aware of this, and he's like, "Oh my goodness, we've built this nation on false principles, on things that just simply aren't true." And when I walk as King Josiah through my nation, I see that there are people worshiping false gods. There are people doing, there's just like everybody's got it twisted. They're doing sacrifices and they're just like doing all this crazy stuff that people come up with when they don't understand the nature of reality, and they've got it twisted and they think the power's over there or outside of them in some way. And so what King Josiah does is he decides to tear down the false gods and the false prophets, the idols. Okay, he decides to tear them all down. And he does so, and this is an allegory. This is not, I'm not speaking of history, I'm speaking of allegory. This is a myth. This is a story that teaches, right? Parable. So in the story, King Josiah violently destroys the false gods, violently destroys the temples, the sacrificial altars made to idols, made to second causes, other things over there. Other those are all false gods. What is the number one commandment? Thou shalt have no other god before me. Okay, that's not a third party speaking. That's our own creative power speaking, and that's the number one. It's the number one thing that is asked of us is like we are commanded to have no other gods before our own consciousness. And, that's not an ego thing. That's a truth thing. So I know some people get it twisted and think it's an ego thing, but inevitably everybody figures it out. Okay. So Josiah very violently goes in the story and tears all these things down and then begins to rebuild the nation based on these principles, these first principles that are true, this nature, the truth about the nature of reality. And he begins to, rule his self-governed nation based on the true first principles. And so that's why he is considered a notable figure in the Bible, is because he reinstituted a code of living through this book of the law that formed the basis. And I'm drawing on some of the texts that I read about this yesterday. So this isn't solely my opinion. This is what other people, I'm just kind of borrowing what some other people have deduced from this. So this book of the law, this idea of first principles of, what is the nature of consciousness, what is the nature of reality? When you understand that, you understand that there's nothing but God in the world, and there is no other. There are no, like, there's everybody that you encounter is simply yourself pushed out. Okay, that's like a fundamental premise. So when you understand that, then the golden rule becomes the most natural thing in the world, because most people don't desire to hurt themselves. And so, when our definition of what our self is expands to include other people, then we don't desire to hurt other people. We desire to give to other people that which we would want to give to ourselves. That's the golden rule. And that's why is it golden? Because when everybody acts that way, the age is golden. That's a golden epoch for humankind, when everyone acts from that premise. And that's why it's taught as like the golden rule. So that's this principle that Josiah made relevant again in this parable. So this idea of the golden rule, or of treating everybody as yourself, because in truth, from a higher dimensional perspective, everyone is yourself. That gives this very beautiful basis for diplomacy and for relationships between people, because it's a code of ethics for how we treat each other, and for how we resolve conflicts, and for how we the commentator that I was reading yesterday, he was like, this is really the first time that a sense of human rights was codified by a nation's ruler, like a code of ethics, or like a code of like how we treat each other. It's a basic human rights. And so he began to build in this way. Okay, so people who are not aware that the Bible is a dramatization of states think that the book of the law was most likely this long list of dogmatic rules in the form of like Deuteronomy, right? Where it's like, oh, you have to do this, you can't do that, you have to do this other thing, but not this other thing. All of those rules are also mystic in nature rather than literal. And a lot of people don't, at least in the past, have not thought from a mystic perspective about these rules. So that's probably why they seem arcane and dogmatic. But a lot of people think that that's what the book of the law is, and that may have been a component of it. But I see the book of the law as being this revelation of the nature of reality and our own role and state within this reality field that we're experiencing. Okay, so I'm thinking about this idea of King Josiah. I'm thinking about this idea of tearing down these false gods and these idols, and this idea of how a civilization built on the truth about the nature of reality is like, I mean, it's what everyone dreams of. Everyone dreams of this. Like, I think there's a lot of people, at least in the past, that just kind of lived their lives and just kind of did the activities of everyday life without thinking too much about what life is, or what purpose it serves, or like what a bigger picture might be. And they're doing a great work also, like just living, doing your thing, being the ancestors, having kids, passing on the best values that you possibly can. and then, dying and rebirthing and going on and doing it again. I think that's like been a lot of it, but then there's also been these ancestors who thought larger than that. And I think a lot of this comes from like um, ancestors that have strong roots and communal values. So I think a lot of indigenous people with like indigenous civilizations that like have a long history of keeping within their traditions this truth and wisdom alive. I think those people consistently, for the most part, have maintained this vision of, if we continue to teach our children the truth about the nature of reality through our traditions and through our honoring and respect for the planet and for each other, and our systems of values and ethics, then eventually there will come a time when these values will spread, and eventually uh, the world will be able to find a state of harmony because people will begin to adopt these values, and then humanity will indeed enter a golden age. And so I think that that's part of a vision of the future that certain ancestors have held very dear to their hearts. And there's certain people, that we know from history that did things on purpose, knowing that the impact of what they did would not be felt, in their lifetime, but many, many, many lifetimes later. Many, many more generations would have to pass before the full impact of what they did would be felt. But they did it anyways because they felt that was not anyways, right? That's why they did it, is because they felt this is something important for the species, right? And I can think of a couple examples of them. I'm sure there's many. If you're traveling with me in your awareness, I'm sure you're probably thinking of a couple examples of people that very notably did things, not just for the people around them in that space and time, but in a lasting sense. As an ancestor, they did something that maybe has impacted your life today, but maybe it was generations ago, right? Or they had a vision of what the future could be, and so they took steps in the right direction. And so I contemplating all this and sitting with all. I mean, I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people that the word I throw against it is futurist. That's not. That's just like a passing word for it. But the way I see it is I have this vision of what the world can evolve into. And I chose to be incarnated at this time, specifically in the development of this world, because I feel like this is one of the greatest parties that humanity will ever experience, and it's happening in our lifetimes. And if you are reading the news, you might not see it because it's the revolution will not be televised. Okay. If you're reading what other people have to say about what's going on in the world, then you probably won't see it because most of the people that are writing don't see it themselves. So they don't actually have the ability to transmit something that, they can't see. So as an example, you can only see what your level of consciousness allows you to see. And you can only comprehend uh, truths that are aligned with what your current level of consciousness is. And that's why sometimes we get into visionary states and we can see very, very profound truths because our consciousness has expanded to the level where that becomes real for us. And then sometimes we can go through a season of grief or loss or some sort of death before the rebirth, some sort of dark night maybe. And then because our consciousness is kind of diminished, then we're not present to those great expanded ideas in the same way. Okay. So, it was funny to me. Every once in a while, I look at headlines from the newspapers just to kind of, actually, I don't really have a good justification for it. I probably shouldn't do it, but I'm being honest. From time to time, I do look at headlines. And looking at headlines from time to time, I have noticed that the people who are writing articles, not categorically, just frequently, at least in the past, right? We're going to time shift this whole conversation because tomorrow will be a brand new day, brand new era, and everything has changed. But in the past, people writing the articles tend to have a pretty dim view of things. And so it kind of doesn't make sense to look at what anyone who can't see an expanded level of truth has to say about anything, because their level of consciousness does not make them newsworthy. That's just the truth. Someone who's in a diminished state of consciousness, what they have to say just simply is not newsworthy. The news that I want to see are from people who are visionaries and are at a level of consciousness where what they have to say is newsworthy. And I think that with the democratization of news that has been occurring over the past couple of years, I don't know if you've noticed, if you're on this live stream, you probably have noticed, everything has changed since 2020. Literally everything has changed. We're in a completely different world. And one of the things that has changed is the awareness of low level consciousness, trying to make things newsworthy. Like it just doesn't fly anymore. People have woken up. Like now they can see, why would I pay this person any attention? They're not at the level of consciousness that makes anything they have to say newsworthy, right? So we're rapidly approaching, not rapidly approaching, we're in this time now. We're now in this time where that's really like the only thing that matters is level of consciousness, your state of being. Like that's literally the only thing that matters. And I think for people that are very awake in their lives and have a high level of awareness, I think this has been true for as long as they've been in, as long as we've been in this state of expanded awareness, this has been true for us. And what I'm saying is that there's a major shift that has occurred across the whole planet now. And now, on average, like across everybody, people have now adopted this perspective where they understand that really state is the most important thing. And what this means is that there's now been a complete shift in the incentive structure for okay, so for a long time, the incentives on planet Earth were upside down. And they've since flipped right side up. But let me talk about it because I feel like if you can understand this unlocks new things. Because when I understood it, it unlocked new things for me. So for a long time, the incentive structure was that if you did negative things, you were rewarded for it. If you took advantage of the earth and her resources, you were rewarded for it. If you took advantage of people and manipulated people, you were rewarded for it. If you lied or cheated or stole, a lot of times you were rewarded for it. That was before. And now that's no longer the case. The incentive structure is actually flipped. And now it is positive behavior that is incentivized. And people that are still stuck in the old paradigm, you can almost say like it's two different earths. And I know that like this gets into some of there's like a whole realm of people talking about, two earths and all this type of stuff. And I'm not trying to take it there, but I am saying that like there's two very different worlds happening right now. And in one world, it's this outdated incentive structure, and that's like it's just that world is turned off now. And now we've got this new world where the incentive structures are now aligned. And so now people that are respecting, organizations that are respecting the earth and her resources are being rewarded. People that are respecting each other and honoring each other in relationships and in the way that they do business are being rewarded. People that tell the truth, that speak truth to power, that are willing to stand up for principles and values, they are being rewarded because the incentive structures have now been realigned. And this is an event that I refer to as the flip. There's something that changed energetically on planet Earth. And it's like everybody got a software update. And now we're like headed in a whole new direction. So with this flip, as I just casually refer to it as the flip, which has already happened. This isn't, I see all these videos like, oh, it's coming. No, It already happened. Like, yes, already there. With this flip, now we have the opportunity to have conversations like, okay, um, we actually have the opportunity to build a civilization based on true sovereignty, true individual sovereignty, which, by the way, our ancestors, um, even thousands of years ago, had as a dream. You know, they had the dream that humanity would one day get to this point. And that's actually us now. Like our ancestors are super psyched for what we have the opportunity to do with what we've inherited from them. And so, to go back into this story, we all have the book of the law, and we're waking up and we are becoming very aware. And we look around the world, and what do we see? We see a lot of false gods, false prophets, and worship of idols. Now, that's biblical words, but if we just make it very practical, it's these old archaic and decaying institutions that just simply don't serve anymore. They did serve for a while because humanity had to learn to hold their own power. So while we were learning, we had to give our power away to things like, dare I give the example of central banks and governmental structures and dictators and armies and just all these ideas that from a certain place, a certain state of consciousness are really unnecessary. But until we got to that state of consciousness, they served their purpose. And so now we're at this place where we're outgrowing all of those. And we have the opportunity to begin to rebuild the temple, to go back to the King Josiah language, to rebuild the temple. Well, what is the temple? The temple is the nation that we rule, our self-governed nation. The temple is our mind-body complex. And when we are wise rulers of our self-governed nation, that means that we rule our minds, our hearts, our relationships, our actions, our words, our interactions, to some degree, our thoughts. To some degree, I mean that like some thoughts are ours, some thoughts are just kind of in the field, but we can choose to rule our attention. So there's that. We can choose which thoughts to focus on and allow to become part of our mind-body complex. We're the rulers of the garden that is our lives. And this idea of like the golden age, it's never going to start out there. It's never going to start out there. It's always going to be here. I am living in a golden age because I have chosen to accept my power with humility from a place of love and embrace wisdom and learn to be a wise ruler of my self-governed nation. That's incredible responsibility. And also, I feel, an amazing gift. And so, I guess, shout out to my namesake. I'm like really resonating with this ancient story that was told that I feel really is contextually mirrored in where we are right now in terms of finding the book of the law and choosing to rebuild the temple and choosing to become wise rulers of our self-governed nation. And then from this place of humility and wisdom, governing our hearts, our minds, our bodies, and learning to hold our power, learning to manage the creative power that we are with wisdom. And of course, my sign off for years has been imagine wisely, because I feel like if there's two words that summarize not just what Neville taught, but just like the whole idea of what it means to be a creator, it's imagine wisely. It's like treat the creative power of God that you are seriously. Like take it seriously, and just seek in humility to be a wise ruler, wise creator, to be a wise child of God, and to accept that and like choose to embody that to the best of your ability. It's like from the heart. Like that's like, it's a thing. It's not an ego thing. This is like from a heart thing. Like this, nothing but God in the world. Everything is me. So like all I can do is choose to rule, from love with wisdom and humility. And I'm just, yeah. So I'm sharing this because I'm super present to it, and I'm super aware that um, these ideas are this basket of seeds. And when I talk about them with a boldness, which I'm doing live on YouTube right now, when I talk about these ideas with a boldness, I am offering seeds uh, to the gardens of others on this one giant garden that we all share, which is this earth plane. And these seeds will bear much fruit. Uh, and so I'm sharing from the abundance of my own garden with the imaginal act that each of us begin to plant these seeds. And slowly but surely, the temple is rebuilt. And I'll be honest, that's what I came to Earth for. When I said a couple live streams ago, I said, the party is here. There is nothing happening anywhere else in the universe more interesting than this. This is what I'm talking about. The party is here. We have the opportunity to do it here. Is it big? Yeah, it's big. Uh, would this conversation blow the minds of some people that aren't ready for it? Yeah, it might. And also, uh, there's this term that comes to mind, um, brazen impudence. This is a Neville term. Remember brazen impudence? Uh, this is like laying claim to our birthright with brazen impudence. This is saying, I do not consent to the artificial limitations placed upon my possibility. I do not consent to I choose not to accept, and I do not consent to the invitations to others to give my power away to them. This is my creative power, and I choose to hold it. So there's a brazen boldness in that statement. And in it, to me, when I'm saying it in my mind's eye, I'm taking my flag and I'm plunging it into the earth. And I'm saying, I'm making a stand here. Like I'm in the state of King Josiah, which, it's fun that I have this as a namesake, but it's not like a personal thing. Anyone can be in the state of King Josiah. And I think that everyone is in the state of King Josiah when they make the conscious decision to claim their birthright, as sons of the Most High, and say, I know who I am, and I do not consent to artificial limitations placed upon my sense of possibility. I know who I am, and I'm making a stand here and now. I'm tearing down the false gods. The worship of idols will not happen in my self-governed nation. I am casting out those distractions. I'm casting out that leak of creative energy. There is no second cause. This is, another way to say this is buying the pearl of great price. Anyone who buys the pearl of great price passes through the state of Josiah, King Josiah specifically, to become a ruler of their self-governed nation and to say, no, actually, I am the cause. Even if I don't like what happened, it's still me. I will not, the buck stops here. I will not pass the responsibility to anyone else. I will not blame anyone else for what I did. Yes, even I am he. I kill, I make alive, I wound and I heal, and none can take away from me or take out of my hand. Like when you make that statement and you're in that state, that's the state of King Josiah. That's buying the pearl of great price. And it is a phenomenal responsibility. Phenomenal responsibility. And it's a call to kingship. It's a call to kingship. Now, I don't really like the term kingship because it feels gendered, and we don't care about that. Like, I'm talking about the state. So, like kingship, queenship, I'm going to say rulership because there's no sense of gender in that term. It's a state of rulership. We are called to a state of rulership. Rulership, ruler of the ship. Well, this human body is kind of a spaceship, okay? Earth is kind of a spaceship, okay? So it's like, it kind of makes sense. Ruler of the ship, rulership. It's a call to profound rulership. And there's a responsibility to that, but it's joyful. It's liberating. There is freedom. There's a celebration. There is this birthing of possibility that comes when you boldly assert your rulership that is astounding. Like this, these are the headlines. Like these are the headlines. Like, Helena and Mike and Moonbunny and Frank and Shwetha, like, have claimed their rulership, right? Like that's the headline in my opinion. That's newsworthy in my opinion. Like that's the stuff that matters. Like taking responsibility and stepping up, being stand-up rulers. They talk about being like a stand-up guy or a stand-up woman, right? Like, what does that mean? Well, it's like there's a boldness to it. There's an assertion. And so so super, very present to this energy and very it feels it feels like there's two parts of it. There's the part of choosing this for myself, choosing to be this wise ruler of my self-governation. And then there's the part of boldly inviting others to do the same. And in that state, I'm just like, this is Neville and Chill, you guys. Like, we are just chilling, and I'm just being very, this is a vibe that we're just flowing with, right? So I'm just like opening up and trusting y'all are here for it. Okay. So like in this state, two sides to it. There's like doing it for my own life, and then there's inviting other people to do it too. And there's this really profound accountability that comes with inviting other people to do it too, because I have to lead by example. It's not, do what I say, not what I do. It's I am choosing to be this. And so, like I'm accountable, which is a big part of being a self-governed nation. Like as the ruler, you're accountable for what happens in your nation. Right. So it's like, I feel like I'm stepping into this place, and it's, this is, I'm living my best life. So like, I'm happy to do it. But what I'm sharing is that I feel like it's been this very intense activation for me, because now I can't fall asleep anymore. Like to my awareness, like there is no like taking complete and profound responsibility for my life. Like there's nothing that slips through the cracks. Okay. So like, do I screw up sometimes? Absolutely. And also, because I've taken full responsibility for my life in this way, I don't get to pass the buck anymore. There's times in my life where I like to pass the buck. I don't get to do that anymore. Like that's not who I'm choosing to be. That's the old state. And I have no interest in being the person that just gives away power. So I'm learning to hold my power, and with that comes this responsibility of like, owning when I get it wrong, and then choosing, to be like water and saying, well, if I got it wrong, there must be a reason, because there's an upgrade embedded in this. Like we learn more when we mess up, oftentimes, than when we get it right the first time, and there's like not really a lesson in it. I do like getting it right the first time, and there is a part of me that doesn't like being wrong, and I think that's all of us. I don't think anyone like I think everyone is on a growth path somewhere in the relationship to that concept. So I'm definitely not unique in this. I'm speaking it because I'm feeling there's a resonance with this is like a united self-governed nations that's happening right here. So like each of you are self-governed nations. I'm my own self-governed nation. We're having a meeting of the rulers. This is our own version of like some of the lower level things that happened here on Earth. But we're doing it from like a consciousness perspective. So like just, yeah. So uh really cool. Okay. I know who I am, and I do not consent to ideas of limitations. The real news. Oh, that recess is wonderful. Very good. For those of you that are into these like novel drinks, definitely check it out. I think it's worth your time. Go for it. Heen says, wow, that's what I did many years ago, and it changed my entire experience. I said, no matter what happens, I did it. Yep, with the hand up. It was me. Yes. No hiding in the crowd, like, oh, I hope nobody knows. It's like, nope, I did that. I'll take responsibility for it. And like you said, completely changes your entire experience. Yes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. A million times yes. Amazing. Oh, Elena. Elena. Oh, Elena and Heen. Oh, Elena and Helene. Okay. There's a yeah, I'm like catching up in the chat here. Awesome. Fran Angelico. Yes. Total responsibility. Yes. Mike is saying, absolutely. I'm aware that some of us here chose the blueprints for this life very carefully. Not some of us. I'm sorry, I misread that. I'm aware that those of us here chose the blueprints for this life very carefully. Yeah. Okay. So even that is part of this, like, yep, it was me. As a self-governed nation, you can't like blame your parents for screwing you up. Like there is no victim. Like you can't do that anymore. Did your parents get it wrong at times? Well, yeah, but like, did you get it wrong sometimes when you're raising your kids? Well, yeah. Okay, so like self-governed nation, there's this profound sense of grace. So this is like, okay, so like, what are the attributes of God? God is merciful. God is just. Um, and God is graceful, right? So it's like we're as self-ruling nations, we are in that state. So we give mercy to others for getting it wrong, and then we assume the responsibility for it. Yep, I did that. Maybe not consciously, locally. I'm gonna say locally, like maybe I didn't, but there's nothing that I didn't do, right? So it's like it must be me. So can't blame the parents, can't blame the government, can't blame the economy, can't blame other people, can't blame wars. Or the funniest thing is like when you hear insurance companies talk about acts of God. You ever notice how insurance companies say they're not liable for acts of God? Well, guess what? That's kind of their infinite clause to get out of everything. I that occurred to me the other day, and I just started laughing. I was like, they don't even know like how clever it was of them to write that they're not liable for acts of God. Like that's so funny. I know that that's an insurance term and that World of Caesar has made it mean something, but like I'm just looking at it from a very metaphysical point of view, and to me it's hilarious. I think it's very funny. I mean, yeah, so there's that. Yeah, so it wasn't the weather. You can't blame the weather. You can't blame, like I don't ever like there is no recession, there is no depression, not for us, right? You can't like there is, you know, are there ebbs and flows? Yeah, absolutely, but like we can't blame them for anything. It's like, oh, this is literally the reality that we exist in. So it's this whole new way of being, and it's you know, requires tremendous boldness and a confidence because it's not a small way of being. It's actually a very, very big way of being. And so again, deep meditation using the brainwave tracks yesterday, and what came into my awareness was the state, the metaphysical state that is King Josiah. So I really went deep into this idea, and there was a couple of key takeaways that came back from this experience. I've shared a lot of them with you, but another one that I wanted to share with you is this idea of the first time as a child that we gave our power away, which for a lot of people became a way of being for a while until they learned, became aware that there was another way to do it. So what I became really aware of in this meditation was this idea of when we're very, very young, like infants, we really can't take care of ourselves. We're dependent upon caretakers, caregivers. Okay. So we rely on people to give us care until we are at the point where we can care for ourselves. And what I realize is that that is a distinct period of time in the life of each human. And there is a period, there's a moment in the time of the life of each human where they have the opportunity to graduate into a state where they become responsible for their own well-being. Uh, the age for this, you could give a lot of different ages. Some people would say it's at the age of full maturity, which is around the age of 33. Some people would say, oh, well, the government say it's, either 18 or 21, when you're no longer a minor and you're now held responsible legally for your actions. Some people would say, oh, it's around puberty where you become self-aware in a new way. Some people would say the age is like 5 or 6 when you develop a sense of identity, that you start to become responsible in some way for your own well-being. So I'm saying all this for a reason. I'm painting a picture here. Okay. So regardless of when it is, initially in our paradigm, when we are born as humans, we are exposed to the idea pretty much from the beginning, or actually definitely from the beginning, that someone else knows better than we know. Right? So someone else knows better. That's the idea. Someone else knows better. And that idea gets planted in our garden. And so at first, when we can't care for ourselves, we can't be responsible for our own well-being, uh, technically someone else does know better because they have to care for us. Okay. But there's a point at which maybe it's age 8. That's in the Bible story. That's when Josiah became king. He's king of age of 8. You could say that 8 is, obviously a metaphysical notation. I don't really know exactly how to decode that yet, but maybe that's an example. It's like around the age of 8, or maybe it was back then when lifespans were so much shorter. I don't know. But there is this point of time where if we are raised with very aware parents, we can start to become responsible for our own well-being, and we can learn to trust our own inner wisdom and guidance. So when we don't graduate in that way, if we remain locked in this idea that other people know better, that's a very, it's that's kind of like an energetic block or a net, a limitation of some sort. it's kind of the matrix. Like I don't really want to say that word, but like it's kind of what it is, this idea of like other people know better. I was like I was really saw this yesterday. It was very clear to me. This idea of other people know better. So you must graduate. You must graduate out of that as a paradigm in your life. You must graduate out of other people know better. Someone else knows better than I do, because that is the most subtle transfer, subtle and immediate transfer of power. Someone else knows better. So I want to be really clear about this, right? Because we have to be wise rulers. What I am not saying is that we should never consider perspectives of others. That is not what I'm saying. I am not saying that there are not sources of information that are helpful on the outside. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that we are deluded when we think and believe that someone else knows better than we know for our own lives, right? If we are rulers of a self-governed nation, okay? So like self-governed, not governed by someone else, not governed by an expert or by a doctor or by, some politician or by some, whatever some influencer, right? Somewhere, whether it's social media or another form of influencer, like it's not ruled by them. It's self-governed nation. We are governing ourselves. And so by very nature, we do know best. Now, what I'm not saying is that our ego knows best, okay? So that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that we have an inner truth that absolutely knows best for us always. And that voice is suppressed when we worship the idols of other people's opinions. Okay? So, one of the fundamental things that we can do to graduate into this new level of consciousness, because that's really what this is to become aware that we actually know best. The God in me actually knows best for me. I will still consider the perspectives of other people, but I'll be really honest. In this state of being, I value the input of others based on the state of consciousness they're in. Just like I said, like the people writing the news, like they're, at least in the past, the people that were writing the news, time shifting it again, because I don't ever want to speak spells over this reality. I can describe things in the past while leaving the opportunity for new possibilities. Okay. People that were writing the news were not at the level of consciousness where what they had to say was newsworthy. Okay. So any so-called expert, like I'm not going to listen to a doctor who does not actually understand like the nature of the human body as I understand it, right? They need to be at a similar level of consciousness before I will consider their opinion. Okay. Just as one example, right? Like examples go on and on. I don't have to paint them all out for you, but like that's a graduation when you reach that level where you're like, actually, I take my own counsel above anyone else. Because that's the state of being a self-governed nation. I will consider other perspectives that resonate from people with a similar or greater level of consciousness than the one that I'm currently embodying. But ultimately, I am responsible for my own decisions and for holding my own power. And I actually am a pure connection to truth, and I have that within myself. Okay, so that right there collapses a lot of industries that are built on teaching you that you're not that. So right there, we just tore down some of the false gods, false prophets, and idol worship. Like it's just that simple. Like that's what the story was telling us. That's what this metaphysical story in the Bible is telling us. Like that's what the fault. Like it's not it's not literal, right? They're like when you're tearing down idols, like it's these things that like, oh, I worship that instead of thou shalt have no other God before me. right? Like that's a very clear commandment. And so when I say like, oh, I'm going to ignore the God within and go to some, illusion in the mirror and choose that over what I know to be true for myself, I'm now worshiping an idol. Okay. Like that's the biblical language for what that exchange of power is. Okay. So biblical language, like, it's been in the past, time shifting, so misunderstood in the past. And like so many people were so confused. And I'm just so glad that we've now found the book of the law and that we understand what this is now. And that each one of us, because again, it's never like, oh, other people should do this, right? That's not the state that I'm speaking to you from. I'm not telling you that you have to be this way. What I'm saying, I'm observing from personal experience like this is the truth that I found in myself. So this is a sharing and an invitation, right? So it's like I'm not expecting the revolution to start outside of me. I am the revolution, right? Like I am, it's here. I'm the one changing. I'm the one flipping. I'm the one, expanding to higher states of consciousness. And then because I am the source, I know that the mirrors are changing with me to reflect my true nature. Okay. So like so that's that's the nature of what we're experiencing here. Okay, so like Neville and Chill, we just went deep into there. I had like that was in me and it had to come out. Like I had to say it. I had to speak it out. So I'm glad that I was able to do that. I'm gonna go back to your chats here and see how we're doing. Oh, I really appreciate you all. Thank you for being here with me on this live stream. This is lovely. Helena, Helene, your name means light. Amazing. Amazing. Um, oh, Frank, I was like, Frank, you have like rank. Like, what's going on here? Your name is all like fancy and you have a little wrench next to your name, at least from where I'm seeing. Um, it's because you're a channel moderator. I gave you that rank. So use your power with wisdom, my friend. You've got a lot of power there. That's cool. Awesome. Okay. Sharon just woke up. It's 2:30 a.m. I missed loads. Hey, so come back and you can watch the rest of it. Anyways, love you guys. Yeah, love you too. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Synchronicity, genius business, acts of God ate my homework, pre-existing conditions, brazenly awesome is what we are. Yeah. Kind of like I know for sure no tornadoes come to my house. Even when they're headed straight for us, they will turn a few miles away and always miss us. Okay, Crystal, that's a fantastic point. So that immediately reminded me, I had a friend who lived through the Maui fires, and she was going back to her house, and she noticed how like after everything happened, she had been evacuated, everything, she was going back. And so she was like going back through all of this devastation and destruction. And she noticed that there was this one house that like the Red Sea parted and this massive firestorm like went perfectly around, like carved a circle around that house and then kept on going. And that house itself was pristine and untouched. And when she told me that story, I was like, that person that lives in that house is a mystic. And they know that their imagination creates reality. And they were able to do what was necessary to be done. This is dramatized in Bible stories too, right? Like Daniel in the lion's den, right? He's like, lions, you don't scare me. You're not going to hurt me. And he's like, petting the lion's purring, right? And so the king's like, throw him into the furnace. Like, let's burn them to death. And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And he goes in the furnace. He's just like, oh, it's like a nice little sauna we're having here. It's a nice day for a sauna. Yep, I'm getting nice and limber here. And king is like, what is this? I can't get rid of this guy because he knows who he is. Right. So like that's the state. So yeah, tornadoes, like, yeah, you have a wall, like you have this bubble of protection that you can place when you know who you are. You can place it around your physical body. You can place it around your properties. I was out with family members the other night, and I just felt inspired to place it around each of them individually and my whole family collectively. And I don't make a big deal of it. I don't stand up and wave my hands around. It's just a subtle act because I know who I am. I in my imagination, I made them a protected people, you know? So it's like, it's as simple as that. And it's really beautiful when we do things like that from a place of love. You know, why am I protecting my property? Because I love it. Why am I protecting my family members? Because I love them, right? It's like, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm in a state of love. Like that's where this is coming from. That's just like really beautiful. Someone else knows better, but that someone is inner us. That's another way to say it. Greater us, inner us, yes. Again, I clarified, I was like, I'm not saying my ego knows better or my, the limited, I'm not saying my neocortex, my brain local processing knows better. But what I am saying is that the source of truth is in me. And so when I'm tuning into that inner source of truth, then that's what knows best for me, right? So that's when I can be fully responsible for my own well-being. And that's when I've graduated to the state. Yeah. Sovereignty. That's another word for it. Yes. Imagine brazenly, dear aliens. Oh, we just like that's another level right there. That's great. Okay. Brand Angelico says, we cannot escape that choosing a so-called expert is literally our own decision. Yeah. So at the end of the day, even when we are using, believing that someone else knows better, it's still our creative power in action. It's just now veiled through this, cheapened illusion. So like I say, just let's go to the source. Let's learn to tap our own source. Yeah. Beautiful. Tear down the hero worship pedestals. Yes. Yes. Yeah, the pedestals. Yeah, absolutely. Because I like to celebrate achievements that other people make, right? Like that's cool. But like, will I worship those other people? Well, no, because I follow the commandment. There have no other gods before me. So, but yeah, there's a distinction there, and I think that's great. I'm on this live because we're vibing. We're on the same page. See, I knew it. Recruiting Maven. Like I said, I was like, I subscribe to your channel even though I'm not looking for a job because you have great vibes. It's like there's a resonance there. So, and I've been a subscriber to your channel for years now. Even for a while when you weren't making videos, I was, hanging out. And I think you made one recently, so that's cool. Um, did it have a blue roof? This house? I don't know. The one in Hawaii, I don't know. We did not get that far into it. She just told the story, and I just knew. I was like, that person protected their property. I love making sigils with wise, imaginal intentions for that reason. Protected. Yes. Yes. Beautiful. 33. 33. How perfect. We have 33 people watching. Cool. All right. So I have a favor. Ask, tap that thumbs up button if you were digging tonight's conversation. Um, so, like one of the reasons why I'm doing this, just to be super candid and transparent and honest with my intentions. I am not looking for, because that's the wrong state. I am finding my people. You all are my people, and there are more of us. There are actually millions of us, and I am finding them and gathering them. That's part of what this mission is. So when I ask for things like, thumbs up or whatever, that's what you're contributing to. You're helping us find our people and gather them. And when each of us are self-governations and we start in diplomacy to work with other self-governations, amazing things happen. This is not solely a solo journey. It starts with your own power and it starts inside. But once you've graduated, it becomes really fun to play with others who are also in a similar state. And that's why I'm live streaming on YouTube. That's what Sunday Mystery School is. It's a transmission and it's being put out and it's a call to gather our people. And what we will do as we're gathered, we're going to have a lot of fun. I have some ideas, but really, I'm inspired. I'm coming from this place of, really feeling the call to gather people together so we can build beautiful things together with people who are resonating on like Maven said, the same page. So that's what this is about. That's why I'm live streaming. That's why I'm investing the time. And I just appreciate you all helping in any way that you can. Sharing. If you have not invited anybody to Sunday Mystery School and you have people in mind that you think might be down with the vibe, like invite them, like let's get this, um, let's make people aware that this service is available, that there are people who get up on a Sunday morning to talk about the truth rather than illusions. There are people that, very, are encouraging every single week, to reclaim your power rather than asking for the power to be transferred to them, right? Like I have no intention ever of asking you to transfer your power to me. My intention is to teach you through living to the best of my own ability, humbly, as an example, to hold your own power, right? So that's the mission here. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. So I'm going to sip of my drink, read your messages here. Review, revise, relive. Yes, Carlos, that's truly all you need. Review, revise, relive. Review the day. Revise it to the ideal. Relive the day in your imagination with the upgrades. It's just like when you are making a film and you act out a scene. You're like the director, and you're like, these characters are playing a scene, and you get to the end of the scene, and you're like, you know, you didn't quite land that line, right? Let's cut. Let's re-roll. Let's redo that one. We didn't quite get it, right? And then you coach them a little bit on how to deliver the line, and then you rewind, have everybody play the scene again, right? And then, someone will say, "Yep, we got it," right? So it's like that's what we're doing. It's like we're living in this screenplay of our lives, and the day happens, and then we go back and review the scenes. Did we get it? Well, in some cases we did. Awesome. In other cases, there's an upgrade that could have occurred. So that's the revise, and then reliving is like, okay, now let's play the scene again. This takes commitment. It takes commitment to do it. And also in my mind, in my experience with revision, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I will say this since you brought it up. Thank you for doing so. With my mind with revision, and please tell me in the chat if you have had a similar train of thought. It was like, okay, am I taking the plot points that already happened and optimizing them, or am I rewriting the plot altogether? And so at first with revision, I was a little confused by that. And then over time, I adopted the perspective of no, we are actually just taking the same archetypal themes of what happened, and we're just tweaking them to their ideal. Okay. So I'll give an example that's like maybe a little strange, maybe, but again, I'm asking for your feedback. So let me know in the chat if this resonates with you. Okay. So like, it's not that I didn't screw up. It's that, maybe I did screw up, and the outcome of it made everything way better. Like that's the revision that I did, right? So it's like I don't necessarily always change exactly what happened. I rewrite like the outcome or like the meaning of it. So I'll do that. Or like let's say it's like you know a call with somebody, and then it's I don't necessarily change the subject of the whole call. I just adjust like the vibe of it. Like I make it feel a little bit happier or more auspicious, or like I'll like it's like I'm kind of tweaking the way the lines land. So there's that. It's what I'm saying is it's kind of I'm not when I'm doing revision, it's not like, oh, I woke up in Massachusetts and then at the end of the day, I revise and put myself in Vanuatu. It's not like that. It's like, oh no, I still lived a day in Massachusetts, but the things that happened during the day, I've now optimized. And so what we're doing when we're revising in that way, we are learning what our preferences are and what our ideal is. And there's really no point in revising ever unless you first know what your values are, because every scene that you revise must be revised in accordance with your values. And that's why the very first day of Sunday Mystery School, we talked about desires and how your desires have to be rooted in your values. Self-governed nation must be rooted in values. So, I'm optimizing my scenes that happen during the day. And how do I know what to imagine? Well, I make them conform to my values, right? So that's my perspective on it. But I'm curious. I'm gonna look in the chat and see what you guys are saying. Yeah, so recalculating, I love that. It's good. Recalibrating, yes. Internal GPS recalibrating, yeah. When a scene is done, do you look back on it as a fond memory and be thankful for the experience? Yeah. That's important because that will resonate it with your subconscious mind. When you look back at it fondly with a feeling of satisfaction, gratitude, and appreciation, that connects your revised scene more deeply in your subconscious. I revised a couple things as if they never happened, and the person involved seems to have knowledge of the events and acts as if it never happened. Yes. Um, Someday I will never tell this story on YouTube. Someday, when you are at a retreat with me, or actually we've upgraded the language, they're no longer retreats, they're now alignments. Someday when you are at an alignment with me and we are sitting around a fire, I will tell you a story of a revision that I did before I knew what revision was, that still to this day astonishes me because I quite literally glitched the matrix. Um, and it's a stunning story, and I've never told it to anyone. But someday I will tell someone. I will tell a small group of people as we're sitting around a fire on the beach in Barbados at one of my alignments that is coming in the next couple of years. So I'm just going to go ahead and plant that seed in the garden. And I look forward to the day when I'm able to tell that story. It's 100% true and still shocking to me to this day, just because of what I was able to do without even knowing what I was doing. Amazing. Um, my partner, Carrie Brandt, has made her appearance, you guys. She is in the chat. And she says, Travis, I do that. I end the scene with how grateful I am for how everything turned out. Well, first of all, hello, Carrie. Amazing. Thank you for joining us on Neville and Chill. She's downstairs chilling. I'm upstairs chilling. I'm about to wrap up here and go downstairs and chill with her. So that's great. And thank you for that contribution. Elena says, I've found writing poetry about a situation is a fun way to revise. Okay, so that's perfect. And also, there are some uh, tools now that all of you are aware of, right? That can assist with that, which is also really fun. Yeah. Then as life goes on, I thank God for that amazing experience already done. Perfect. Yes. Sometimes one new sentence added to the imaginal revision makes all the difference. Yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. It's recalibrating, right? Perfect. Long time stalker, first time caller. Making her entrance with the revision topic. I love it. Amazing. Values, yes. One of these days, my friends, Carrie is going to be on a Neville and Chill with me, and y'all have the opportunity to meet her. So that's coming. So I'm really looking forward to that too. And if not then, she always comes and is a part of hosting the alignments. So y'all will meet her when we're on that Barbados beach that I mentioned. There's a couple other ones that we're creating an imagination that will come to pass shortly as well. What I am doing is I revise the scene to evoke the feeling of joy. Ooh. And then I incorporate the feeling of time, times, and halftime into the revision exercise. Thanks. Times, and halftime. I feel like you're tickling some part of my brain there, but in this moment, I can't think of what that means. And I think that's an invitation. If you would like to share a little bit more, please share a little bit more. What is time, times, and halftime? Cool, cool, cool. All right. We're getting ready to wrap up here. It's been a long one. I think the perfect amount of time, really. Um, Tell us more about exponential. Okay, so while we're waiting for that, just another quick reminder about Sunday Mystery School. So Sunday Mystery School, I told that story for those of you that maybe didn't catch the whole stream. I told that story earlier. So we had this amazing glitch that led to a homework assignment and a lot of people getting activated through having firsthand lived experiences of this mystic wisdom. So that's really cool. And this Sunday for Sunday Mystery School, we're going to go back and learn about the meaning of it's one of those stories that we just like skipped right through because of the glitch. So we're going to go back, we're going to fix the text and not fix, but revisit the text in its full form, unabridged version. And then we will continue that exploration. So very much looking forward to that. Also, for those of you that are channel members, and I see you got a lot of them in the chat. This Sunday is our second channel member mastermind, group imagination, creating a group mind and then conducting imaginal acts as a group. Very powerful. Very excited about this. Our first one was awesome. This one will be awesome. It'll take place immediately after Sunday Mystery School on this Sunday. So if you are a channel member, very much looking forward to seeing you live in the Zoom room for Sunday Mystery School. And then immediately after, we'll go into the Group Imagination Mastermind. For those of you that are not channel members, open invitation. If it resonates, join the channel. You click join next to my name, join the mastermind. A lot of perks. There's 2 video series that I've released that are fantastic expanded level of consciousness explorations that are not for the public, but are for channel members. You get access to both of those. It's like 34 episodes between the 2 series, I think. Each one has 17, I believe. And then you get to join me in the Zoom room for Sunday Mystery School so that you can contribute in the way that Orlana does, and Mike does, and others at the end of Sunday Mystery School. And then also you get to be a part of this group mind and do the group imagination. And you also get first access to these alignments that are coming later this year because you're a channel member. So additional perk for you. Okay, so very cool. Let's look at this time, times, and halftime. Okay. Refresh the meaning. Tell us more about exponential time. It's in one of the Neville books. Times, times, and a half. Okay, I'll go back and refresh my memory. It's like I said, it's tickling part of my brain. That probably means it's important. So I'll go back and watch it. Awesome, Sharon. Beautiful. Okay. All right, my friends. We're gonna wrap it there. Thank you so much for joining me and for your contributions in the chat. Really enjoyed the interactions. I know you all really enjoyed the interactions with each other too, so that's very cool. Thank you for just being such classy, beautiful people. Like I'm just consistently honored and humbled and in a beautiful way amazed by just how harmonious our crew is. You know, these people, like I said, that's the intention. That's why we're doing this, is we're finding our people. Like we are very, very beautiful people. And I'm just honored and humbled to have you all gathered here. And I love being a part and serving in whatever way I can. So thank you for your part of that. Very much appreciated. I will see you all for Sunday Mystery School. Next week, we're going to have Shweta back on for another Neville and Chill with friends. Be a lot of fun. We'll continue that conversation. And that's all I got for now. Thank you so much, everybody. Y'all are heroes in my eyes, walking this path. So I acknowledge you. I acknowledge your bravery. I acknowledge your courage. And from my self-governed nation to your self-governed nation, namaste, first of all. And of course, second of all, imagine wisely. And I will see you all in the next.